Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Debbie. We are Tessie Pearl, a community for widows.
Today, we are going to talk about uncomfortable emotions and our relationship with them, especially at the time of the loss of a significant other or spouse. As human beings, we experience a myriad of emotions. We are designed to experience all of these emotions. But society has this way of labeling emotions as bad or good, but the reality is emotions just are. Understanding that they are signals or cues to help us understand ourselves, others, and the world shifts our relationship with them. There's been a lot of confusion about emotions. It is only in the expression of them in a way that harms you or others that an emotion feels bad or negative. It does not make the emotion bad. We have learned reactions to emotions. We were taught them in our homes. We've been taught them in society. And we may have been taught or interpreted that in order to feel safe, we need to bury our emotions, or in order to feel heard, we need to lash out. We also may have put on armor or put up walls as a defense so we don't have to feel. We've been told to suck it up, push through, don't cry. Anger is wrong, and to minimize our pain by being grateful, quiet, and kind. All of these agendas bring doubt to what we feel inside. We learn to question ourselves and our feelings and instead put our trust in these agendas rather than tuning into ourselves and our needs.
It's important to get to know your emotion. And most of us have never even contemplated that. We don't even look at how am I feeling right now?
Yeah. So here's a few questions to ask yourself. How are your feelings shaped by how they land on another person? Are you okay with your feelings? Are you connected or disconnected with your feelings? Do you need permission to express these feelings? So what are some of the emotions that are labeled as bad or negative, and how do they impact us in grief?
We have bitterness, jealousy, anger, guilt.
Yeah.
I think all of those
Hate,
are very
rage, disgust. Yeah.
Very negative.
Yeah. But yet they're not negative. They just are. We feel them.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling these emotions can be scary, actually. We may belittle ourselves if we don't feel them correctly or don't manage them correctly. Remember, we're practicing. We're human.
And why do we think there's a right or a wrong way to
Right.
feel an emotion? Because it's your emotion.
Yeah. So let's dive into anger. I love this quote by David Kessler. We live in an anti-anger society and tend to forget that anger is pain's bodyguard. When your loved one dies, you have the right to feel angry.
You can be angry. You should be angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you should express that.
Yeah. In a healthy way. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Anger is often a cover for many other emotions, often fear, deep sadness, resentment, other ones that we're going to talk about. It could even be that jealousy or inadequacy. You're not going to be able to handle this on your own. Allowing anger to fester can harm you physically. It can raise your blood pressure, increase the risk of heart disease and stroke, and it can put your relationships at jeopardy.
What's a healthy way to express your anger?
Well, actually, we're going to talk about that in a little bit because let's get through some of these emotions because we can express them all in healthy ways. So let's talk about jealousy. How does jealousy show up after your spouse or significant other dies?
They still have their husband and I don't.
Yes. And social media has this way of presenting all the good news and you scroll it and you're seeing everyone with their families and their spouses or whomever and you don't have that. Yeah. Or you hang out with family or friends and they still are interacting and having those little exchanges that you miss so deeply.
Yeah.
All of that can create jealousy and there's nothing wrong with that. Address your jealousy with compassion. Know that it's okay. But hanging on to jealousy leads to more pain.
So just recognizing what it is.
Yep.
That was a moment of jealousy. And
I'm okay. I'm human. I'm allowed to feel that and then move on. Yeah.
Okay.
Let it go. Resentment is another big emotion and it's so real. We can resent the fact that he's gone. We can resent the fact that you're still here. And that you're having to deal with the chaos and mess of life.
How is resentment different than jealousy?
It can actually be a longer, slower, deeper emotion.
It just goes
deeper.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is coupled with jealousy for sure.
So it starts with jealousy, and then the resentment is the remainder of that emotion. And
It can be.
Okay.
But it can also be, I'm overworked. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed out.
So there's other things.
There's other things that can feed it.
Okay.
And that's why it's deeper.
Okay.
And it can really cause, that's why I say it's an undergird one for anger.
Okay.
And where you can just blow up because this is not fair.
So when you do blow up, that's just a symptom of right now, and it's bringing up all sorts of
these things
that have happened in your feelings.
In the past.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's one to be on guard of, and the opposite of resentment is actually self-boundaries. But in the case of being a widow and you're resenting the fact that you are a widow, there's not a lot of boundaries you can put into place. And so that's why it makes that emotion even more difficult.
Okay.
So to recognize that you're feeling it and that you're human and you're allowed to feel it. It's all okay.
Now, with being alone more now as a widow than you were, does it help to talk to yourself, to just get these things out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But part of these uncomfortable emotions is the reality that they exist and that they're okay that they exist and that it's okay that you're feeling them and you don't need to solve them.
Okay.
Sometimes you do. You need to release them because they can be more harmful to you. But just in the recognizing can be a shift in your system. The next emotion is fear. And fear is huge after you lose someone. Because the world doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Your emotional state to getting up and moving and being and existing every day, everything looks different from your finances to any other burdens to emotional to if you had to care for someone who is quite needy and that responsibility is down, you're fearful of everything. And it can induce this anxiety and even, cause some depression because you're just gripped in fear. And what am I going to do about it? We just want to sit with it and acknowledge it. And then there are some things that we can do about it.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that. I know we're getting there, but I want to cover a few more. Numb is a feeling. Being stuck is a feeling. You actually feel them. And sometimes we don't acknowledge that and we don't allow people space to feel those things. It's okay to feel that way. They're protective defenses. There are many healthy ways to really release these emotions. The first one right away, I would say is write. I am feeling, and literally write until you cannot write anymore.
Okay.
And you just express all that's inside of you openly and honestly, even if in your brain you think I should not be feeling this way. Don't tell yourself you should not feel. There's power in just writing.
Yeah, there's no shame in that.
No. So write. Another thing you can do is we've talked about moving our body, but it really does help. We've talked about humming. We've talked about shaking our body. Well, there's two other things you can do we haven't talked about, but you can slam a pillow on the floor just over and over again, and it releases some of this jealousy and resentment and anger. You can stand and put pressure up against a wall, kind of really push into that wall. You're not punching the wall, but you're releasing that tension, the tension into the wall from those uncomfortable emotions. Those are all really helpful things to do. Another one that I actually really love, and it sounds absolutely silly, but just verbalizing what you're feeling without words. So what I mean by that is using consonant sounds, vowel sounds, and just speaking gibberish. Okay.
I've never heard of that.
It is so powerful because you're not speaking words that could harm another person.
Okay.
You're not writing a narrative that is then getting ingrained in your brain. You're actually jumbling it up. So I'm talking like la la da da mama, like you just start gibberish.
So you're getting your emotions out without injuring or harming.
Yeah, but you can do it even by yourself.
Yeah.
Because then you're not creating sentences and putting thoughts,
into your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how interesting.
So,
who thinks of these things?
I don't know. They're wonderful. They're wonderful. But it really does help when you're feeling that jealousy and sometimes we don't, or the resentment or the anger, we don't even know what to say sometimes, or we're afraid to say it.
So you don't even need to create a word.
You don't need to create.
You're just making sounds.
You're just making sounds.
I love it.
And you're just spewing it.
I love it.
And then if you need to scream, just scream it out. It's just so important to remind ourselves that, once again, we're human. These are normal emotions. And there's nothing bad or wrong about them. If, though, you notice that your emotions are leading to behaviors that are harming yourself or harming another person, you need to put some brakes on and maybe create some more boundaries for yourself. Think about, what can I do if I'm starting to feel this way and I know I'm going to act on it? What can I do to put in place to create the pause so that I don't lash out? Or
so that's making it, you're conscious of what you're feeling and doing at that point.
Yeah.
That's good.
Implement some of these things or anything else that you may find beneficial to really then release them in a healthy way without harming others or yourself.
So don't run away from your emotions. They are healthy, and that is part of being human and accepting them for what they are. Thank you for joining us today. We can be found at tessiepearl.com and at Tessie Pearl Community. Subscribe to our channel, and we thank you for joining us today.